Hi everyone, and welcome to the Millennial Revolt, an independent political talk show that seeks to bring a different narrative than the stale one we have going on right now in the mainstream media. So today we're going to be talking about auditing the Fed. This is something that Ron Paul has been pushing for years, to have the Federal Reserve Central Bank audited, and it has been introduced by House Representative Tom Massey of Kentucky and Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky has introduced a bill in this year's Congress, which President-elect Trump stated that he would support. So there's so much to get into, so let's just get right into it. New legislation, possibly controversial legislation, has been brought up in this newly formed Congress. Now, what this bill would do is it would give an outside power the power to scrutinize the Federal Reserve's monetary policy. Now, this has been opposed by the Federal Reserve's chairwoman, Janet Yellen, but it may face its best chance of becoming law because the House is currently controlled by Republicans and the Senate is currently controlled by Republicans. Now, President-elect Trump has stated that he would give his support to such legislation. And Rand Paul specifically mentioned Trump in a statement about the bill, making it clear that the measure's proponents believe that they have an ally in their cause coming to the White House. Rand Paul released a statement saying that the U.S. House has responded to the American people by passing Audit the Fed multiple times, and President-elect Trump has stated his support for the audit. Let's send him the bill in Congress. Under this particular bill, the Federal Reserve's monetary policy deliberations could be subject to outside review by a government accountability office. Proponents of the measure argue that the Fed is too powerful and lacks significant oversight for interest rates decisions. But federal officials warn from Yellen on down, as well as other critics have warned that such policy could subject the Fed to undue political pressure and discourage it from taking unpopular steps for the good of the overall economy. The proposal has garnered some bipartisan support and has passed the House several times in past Congresses. So both Republicans and Democrats have supported auditing the Fed. But this measure typically has been stalled in the Senate. Now, Senate Democrats refused to bring up the bill for consideration when they controlled the chamber, and senators rejected the bill in 2016 after it was brought up by the new GOP majority. Two non-Republican senators, Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin, voted for the measure then. Only one Republican, Senator Bob Corker, opposed it. Auditing the Fed would be consistent with Donald Trump's Make America Great Again, his American First policy agenda plans. Now, it will be interesting to see if this bill has bipartisan support and passes with bipartisan support, or it gets shot down just because the Republicans have brought it forward and Democrats in Congress want to filibuster. Now, it will also be interesting to see if Donald Trump signs the bill or he sides with international bankers to help the privately owned banks scam the American people out of their money. So this will be very interesting if this bill actually gets pushed through the Senate and it lands on his desk. I hope for the best for any administration, but I expect the worst. So it's going to be interesting to watch the upcoming fights and battles between the Democrats and the Republicans, the conservatives and the liberals and the neoliberals and the neocons when they start siding together, because eventually they always do. So this is going to be a very interesting Congress. The reason why so many people in Congress on the left and the right have been pushing this for years, Bernie Sanders and Rand Paul, is because Congress was furious back in 2011 when they found out the Federal Reserve was making loans that they didn't know about to foreign government and banks. $16 trillion, not billion, not million, $1 trillion that the taxpayers were on the hook 4. Back in 2011, Senator Bernie Sanders amended that the Wall Street reform law to audit the Federal Reserve, pushing that the GAO, which is the Government Accountings Office, should step in and take a look around. Because the media reported for the first time in history that an audit of the Fed would take place since its beginning in 1913. Now, even though the media covered it, they never covered the fact that $16 trillion were allocated to corporations and banks internationally, purportedly for financial assistance during and after the 2008 fiscal crisis. Senator Bernie Sanders, during a press release, stated that no agency of the United States government should be allowed to bail out a foreign bank or corporation without the direct approval of Congress and the president, which he is right. There is no reason why a specific agency, such as the Federal Reserve, should be giving out taxpayers' money with no one's approval, mind you. Our Congress, our elected officials did not approve this. The President of the United States at the time was President Obama. He did not approve this, but they're giving out our money to international banks overseas. Now, the report serves as a clear testimony that the Federal Reserve's emergency action plan to bail out foreign corporations and banks in a time of crisis, but the GAO report does not berate the Fed. Rather, it provides a lucid explanation of where the money was allocated and why. Under the bill's legislation, the Federal Reserve's monetary policies would be subject to outside review by the Government Accountability Office. People who are in favor of auditing the Fed said that if the Fed was ever fully investigated, that massive fraud would be exposed. Former Federal Reserve Chairman Burke has said that his concern about the legislation is that if the GAO, which is the Government Accountability Office, is auditing not only the operational aspects of the programs and the details of the programs, but making judgments about our policy decisions, would effectively be a takeover of the monetary policy by the Congress, and a repudiation of the independence of the Federal Reserve would be highly destructive to the stability of the financial system, the dollar, and our national economic situation. Well, if the Federal Reserve, without any government accountability, is taking $16 of taxpayer money and giving it to banks overseas, then maybe Congress should step in and see what you're doing. Maybe Bernie Sanders and Rand Paul should be leading the way on this to hold you people to account for what you're doing. Maybe some people need to be arrested for blowing all of our money. So I definitely want to see what happens with this bill. I hope Bernie Sanders joins Senator Rand Paul in his efforts to audit the Fed. I hope that this gets bipartisan support and we can actually have accountability with our Federal Reserve and the things that they are doing. So I will definitely keep you guys updated. This is still a developing story. So I'm the Millennial Revolt. Thank you guys so much for watching and you have a wonderful day. Bye.